Welcome back. This is Kyle with All in Survival, and today we're going to talk about books, mostly in the preparedness realm. They're going to be broken down into two different sections. The first part is books that are reference material or skills. These are for what people like to call your prepper library, for that what if scenario where your YouTube, your internet, and all of those things go down and you no longer can look it up in our technology world. You have a library filled with tons of information, and these will help you spur your memory and remember how to get things done. The second part is for educational and entertainment value. These are what we're going to focus on today, and we'll get right into that. All right, welcome back. And today we're going to be talking about educational and entertainment value books, right? And I'm going to use books as in reading and listening to all in the same because I do them interchangeably. These days, in a very hectic life, I mostly listen to stuff like audibles or an MP3 player that I have. So when we talk about books that you can listen to that are entertaining and educational, I'm going to tell you a story about when I was about 19. I was given a hard copy book that was my first introduction into prepping or apocalyptic style of books. The book was called Earth Abides by George Starwell, I think. And wonderful book. It's slow reading, but it made my brain go crazy. I kept thinking about what would I do in that circumstance. And I really enjoy that. People in the military will call that gaming. They put themselves in a situation and they game it. So that book was based off of basically a world-ending pandemic where 99.9% of the population died, where 1 in 100 survived. And it takes it through the journey of his life. Going on from there, many, many years later, I was starting to get my mind wrapped back into preparedness maybe 15 years ago. And I was given another hard copy book by somebody that I had known at the time. And that was by James Wesley Rawls. And anybody who's been in the preparedness game for any amount of time knows that this was an Army officer in the U.S. military, a very intelligent guy, and he started writing a couple of books. Writing-wise, if you were looking at him as an English professor, he's not the best. But what I loved about his books was they were so educational. All right, so the book series that I'd like you to look at is called The Founders. He also has another book called How to Survive at the End of the World as We Know It. And he actually is credited with the term Tiwaki, the end of the world as we know it. So look him up. What I loved about those series of books is that the 3 books are written all at the same time in the collapse of the United States economic system. And it takes you through 3 different perspectives and 3 different groups and how they made it through the situation. A wonderful series. And it's impossible not to glean some knowledge out of these books. If you take and just listen to them, you get some entertainment value, yes, but you're getting knowledge, and it's coming at you fast. So the next one is a very old book, right? Also almost as old as Earth Abides, and it's a book written in, I think, 1950, and it's called The Last Babylon, right? And it takes place in Florida, basically in the Cuban Missile Crisis type days, and we have a full-scale exchange. And These are a really good look into preparedness from the view of somebody who's not a prepper, right? So some of these books are people that are super prepared and they're going to take you through their journey, and others of these books are just regular people and they have to adapt and overcome in their own way. And I like that too. So this one's based off of old school and it's really good. The next one I want to talk about is the Survivalist series by another guy in Florida, Angry American, and that's a pseudonym. And if you're into preparedness and you watch things on the internet, you'll probably actually seen his face a few times. And he's not hidden as much as he was when he first came out. But this is a 10-book series starting with the going home, and basically an EMP goes off and he's a traveling technician and he's 250 or so miles from home, and the first book kind of runs you through worst case scenario of trying to hump it back 250 miles to your family. I consider that our worst case scenario if you cannot use a vehicle and you're basically stuck with the supplies that you have on your back. A really great series. There's some really great characters in this book, and it sucks you in. The next series I'm going to talk about is called the New World series by G. Michael Hoff. I believe he's a retired Marine. This book is based out of San Diego. It starts off in San Diego, and they have, I believe, a nuclear exchange. And I read this series maybe 5-7 years ago, but it is a 7-book series, and all of these book names and authors will be in the description. Really good series. I enjoyed it a lot, and there was many things in there that sparked. I'm like, oh yeah, you need to remember to do that. So good thing. Another series is called the 299 Day series, and that's by Glenn Tate. This gentleman takes knowledge that he has and breaks it down from the start of a non-prepper growing up in Pacific Northwest, I believe is Washington area, and he gains knowledge over time and starts to open up his mind to the fact that things are not going right in our country and it possibly could get even worse, and we should be prepared at least a little bit, right? You need to kind of grab onto that and little things at a time. And he's a great example of what you can do over a long period of time of preparedness. You don't have to drop $20,000 all in one day and say, okay, I'm prepared. It's a little here and a little there over a long period of time. Glenn Tate. The next one is EMP, or the Equipping a Modern Patriot series by Jonathan Holderman. He's another gentleman that's on the internet all the time, and he's got some really great videos. You're going to see his face. Very well known in the community, and I read his series maybe like a few years ago, and extremely good. Well written, and lots of things to glean out of that as for actual techniques. The next one is called The Economic Collapse Chronicles by Mark Goodwin, and I really liked the beginning of this book because it kind of shows the amount of stress that can happen as civil unrest and as collapse starts to happen, and the slow decay of our LE and not being able to keep up with the amount of crime that's happening. And he basically takes his family, I believe, from Florida and takes them up to Tennessee. And I'm not a super religious guy, but I can totally deal with this author, even though he gets kind of churchy from time to time. But it's because I believe that people of faith are also, a lot of them are very in tune with their preparedness side too. So they kind of go hand in hand sometimes. Um, but anyways, a great writing and a good series. Definitely check that out. The next one is the After series by William R. Forstchen. And this is an EMP style book that happens in the Black Hills or Black Mountain in outside of North Carolina. And a really it's a gut wrenching book. It's as raw and real as I believe it will be if it happens. And if you're not scared or feel the panic of needing to put a little more effort and energy into your preparedness plan after reading this book, something's wrong. So, but it's well thought out. It's well written. The gentleman still lives up there. I think he's a retired one-star general, and yeah, it's an excellent area. I've actually been up in that area. It's beautiful, and it's a great series. So that one is a 3-book series. The last one I want to talk about is the Enemy Trilogy series by Matthew Bracken. That's a 3-book series, and Matthew Bracken is a retired SEAL, and his writing is not what I would say is number one top quality writing as an English professor would look at, but it's good, and it's entertaining, and it keeps you engaged. So he also has another single book, I think it's called Tuskegee Bay, and that's got a lot to do with kind of like an expatriate or patriot being in the Caribbean on a boat, and I think he plays from his character is a Marine, and it's well written. So check those out. So that's pretty much the list. I will put everything in the description. Now, it's easily to pass this stuff off as entertainment, but I want you to reconsider that. If you get an account with Amazon or Audibles, it's pretty easy to get these and have them right on your phone. You throw an earbud in when you're or listen to it in your car to and from work. Whenever you go out for a walk or jump on your bike, you can knock out quite a few books really fast, and it's something that is easily overlooked. And I will tell you that over my 15 years of preparedness, I would put a lot of my knowledge base on the books that I've read. So down the road, we're going to talk about that first section of books, having a prepper library. We'll get into that sometime. And if you got any good information, please hit the like and subscribe. And write anything in the comment if you want to hear about something else, or if there's a topic you want to hear about, please, by all means. All right. Be safe out there.